Can I ask you a question?
The guys that I've been watching every week in WWE are going to be on TV at that time, so maybe I'll stay home. Yeah.
Yeah. So I never saw Southern wrestling until I moved to Atlanta, which was in maybe, I don't know when that was, 85, maybe 86. I didn't know that I saw big time wrestling, and it was the WWF. Like I saw big time when I was a kid. Then I went down, and Joe Pedicino had this like 6-hour block of wrestling that would be on Saturday nights. I mean, it had Georgia Championship. It had, Memphis. It had everything. I think it had superstars, but then it had, oh, fuck, the Saturday night WCW show.
The 605 from the
Yeah.
Carolinas?
Yeah.
From Atlanta, from the TV
Atlanta.
studio in Atlanta. Yeah.
The TBS show. Yeah. So that was like the first time, like when people would talk about Dusty, and this is no disrespect because I just, I wasn't I was watching basketball. People, when I got into the business and they'd be like, this is Dusty, I'd be like, oh yeah, he's that guy that had polka dots on his outfit. I had no idea about
So the Dusty image you had in your head was the Vince Dusty,
yeah,
the WWE Dusty.
And then he was like, I'm like, how has this guy got so much stroke? So then it took me a while, and I was just like, and then I, because back then you could get VHS tapes, and I'm just like, oh, like not only is this guy like super over, but he's like charismatic, like he was like so much. I mean, he was great. I mean, you can't take anything away from Dusty.
No, Dusty might be on the, people always ask who's on your Mount Rushmore of wrestling. And, Dusty might have to be up there because he had the in-ring, right? He could keep an audience hot, and the goddamn camera loved him. He was just such a natural performer. He had a mind for the business. He was a booker too. I mean, he was the one of the all around greats.
I remember when they put Dusty with me and Scott for a pay-per-view, and he came down to the ring, and this is before he turned, and he came down with that John Wayne strut down that ramp, and I was just like, man, look at this, it's like this motherfucker, man, and he stole it. I mean, he knew how to steal it, and he did every chance he got. He did. So,
yeah, he was. How often did you work with Dusty?
I mean, I broke in when Dusty was, I broke in. Dusty was around during that time frame at the beginning, and then I went off in '93. And then I came back, and Dusty was working with WCW when I came back with the NWO.
So, and Dusty defeats Arn, Barbarian, Ivan Koloff, Lex Luger, Road Warrior Animal, Tully Blanchard, and the Warlord in what was the bunkhouse steel cage match. Instead of the top rope, elimination comes by throwing an opponent out the door or hoisting them 20 feet in the air and throwing them over the top of the cage.
Some of the action at the end, when it's just down to Barb and Dusty, is, I think the only thing I can say is when the Linda guy walked between the Twin Towers, like that kind of I mean, just the peril of it is just, I mean, just go ahead and hang, like Barb, you hang as far as you can. I'm going to reach over and give you some, and I mean, I'm going to stretch to give you a couple of elbows, and you're going to fall about that far
with no leverage, really, right? Because you
Yeah.
can't. You
But I mean, you're going to fall to your demise.
right.
You know, I mean, it's just. I think that there was 12,000 people there. I think that halfway through that match, 6,000 ran for the exits.
After they demanded refunds, the count was down to 6.
Yeah.
You've done battle royals. I'm always fascinated by in what seems to be chaos. There has to be the pre-planned discussion of who's going out when, by whom, and about at what time. Right? This isn't all called in the ring.
No.
So is there like a listen, you get 20, in this case it was only a handful, but in a regular battle royal you might have 20 guys in the ring.
You might have 30 in a row rumble.
Not all very organized in their thought process and how to pull off this match. Is there anybody who's kind of calling something? Like one kind of ring general who's making sure it's going
in that small in that kind of a that bunkhouse thing? There were so few people in it. There's so few moving parts. It's kind of like, you know.
Yeah, that was it. That was just like a 6-man
Yeah.
tag, basically. It
Yeah.
could have been worked out. But when I was looking like 20 guys. Like, does SD Jones know when he's supposed to?
You know, the greatest thing of all time is, and they used to do this all the time, especially when I broke in, where they would get the green guy and like somebody like Bobby Eaton would call a spot, like a tackle drop down spot, and Bobby would send me off, and Bobby do like a spot like in the middle of the ring, but everybody was smart to it except the green guy. And everybody, so Bobby does this spot, and everybody's like, "Oh, geez, like you don't do spots." Like as soon as the bell rings, all the big guys hunker their asses down on the second turnbuckle. I mean, it's like it's if there's anything, this is the worst thing on earth. Used to be this. We used to do this sometimes at WWE when my first run is. You would have a battle royal would start the night, and then you would wrestle who you went like. So if you were the first guy out, you would wrestle the next guy out. So that way, like the last two guys in the battle royal, you would dump that guy and then come back and have a match against him.
Interesting format.
Yeah,
it's like the reverse Royal Rumble. Almost.
Yeah, but like. Just the absolute shits. That battle royal was so bad. Like you like 20 guys would be eliminated in like 6 minutes. Like what do you mean we've got to work twice? Fuck that. I'm out of here.
I'm out.
Yeah.
Bump me.
If 14 guys go out at the same time, we're like, how'd they go out? Just put them together.
Right.
So yeah.
There's no room to move. You're not hitting the ropes right unless you're one of the last 3 in there. So right, you find a corner and it's like I'll work the top rope. You 3 guys get my leg, and we'll do 10 minutes of you trying to roll me out.
I also used to love when like the Steiners or somebody would just bring up like a couple rolls of athletic tape, and then just tape somebody to the top rope, like just tape them, like they're crucified, and then as this match is going on, each guy just goes by and just gives them a chop, I don't know.
That could be you do that to the right guy. That could be really fun.
Yeah, there was
all night long, kick to the balls, and yeah. So so this is so Dusty does the leverage-less elbows to drop Barb. Drop who was left?
Barb.
It was Barb, right?
Yeah, Barb was left.
Warlord was in there, but he
he
actually gets eliminated by Barbarian. I think was the thing there, right?
Whoa, what a tease.
Then you had the Blanchard Anderson double team with Luger at the door. And they all go out.
Like I said, I mean, that's just, it's like the Nutcracker. Just unbelievable.
So all in all, this is the last pay-per-view